Another thing that was wonderful in those days was there were characters. Now, maybe there are characters now, we don't know about them. There were people that they got nicknames. They gave them nicknames. I'm trying to think of, you know the movie Guys and Dolls? They were based on stories that were written by this man in New York. I forgot the name of them.
I forgot his name too, but I know exactly what you mean.
I read all his books. I loved them because he used to have characters like Harry the Horse, Nathan Detroit. Nathan Detroit. Yeah. Everybody had a name, a nickname.
Was playing at Stratford this summer.
Yes, I know. Yes, I know. We had those characters here in Hamilton.
Well, who were they?
Well, let's start with David Hannesmaker.
Who?
David Hannesmaker, the harness maker.
Yes, the
David
harness maker.
the harness, but his name was Braverman. His children don't live here anymore. David Hannesmaker, he was a character. Then there was How Much. I don't even know what his name was, just How Much. Everybody knew who How Much was.
Because why? Because
he always asked, how much? If you wanted something, he wanted to buy something, how much? Then there was, oh God, there was so many. I'm sorry my sister isn't here. Everybody knew these people.
Really?
You did have this, oh yeah, it was Shakespeare. That was Bornstein. His daughter is Evelyn Cohen. They called him Shakespeare. Why? He would tell stories. Whatever he would tell, they said, he's like Shakespeare, he tells stories. Everybody had a name. It wasn't just ordinary. They called my father Yechiel. That's what it is. They all adored him. This is the truth, I'm telling you, they adored him. When my father died, he died Yom Kippur day. I wasn't in shul, I was with him at his deathbed. Somebody told me there was such a sigh went through the whole shul. Everybody just adored him. You see, they had in Hamilton at that time an amateur Yiddish troupe that Kritzer was the one that he ran it.
Who?
Joe Kritzer. And he set up this, he had a troupe, didn't pay anybody, it was all amateur. He did it all himself too, but he was a very good makeup man. And he knew how to direct plays. So they brought in the finest plays here in Hamilton. All the classics.
Yiddish.
All Yiddish. It was all done in Yiddish. And we kids used to go. You'd be amazed at how many people knew, oh, your father was the comedian. Because my father played the comedian. And what's her name? Was the comedian. He had a whole troupe set up already. As soon as they got the play, they knew who was going to play what.
These are local Hamiltonians?
All from Hamilton. Just from Hamilton. And they put on beautiful plays. And that's how I got a lot of my knowledge about Yiddishkeit, plays, music. They put on operettas here of Goldfaden that were gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. We all the kids knew.
Where did they put them on?
They put them on the IOOF temple. On, it's a parking lot. It burned down.
What is the I.O.?
The Independent Order of Foresters. It was a Goyish place. But they had a beautiful theater there that they put on. They rented out, you know, and it was wonderful. They had their own, you know, as I say, nobody got paid.
Right.
And they would put on plays, and some of them, quite a few of them, were to help out Jewish people here in Hamilton.
Really?
Oh yes, Oh yes. You know, people, it was during before the Depression, during the Depression, and they helped them. They helped people to see that there was some money. They started the Jewish Social Services started when I was a kid. And they used to make these plays and donate the money to the Jewish community centers.
So you actually remember that there were people who
Oh yes, I played. Oh yes, I remember the people. Let me see. The trouble now is for me to remember the names. There was my father, as I say, he was a comedian. The one he played with, her son is still alive. He's alive, he's my age. I've forgotten. And then there was Mira Kritzer. She got married again. He died, Kritzer, her husband died young, and she married a man. Her sister always played the soubrette, you know, the elegant woman. Her husband had the fish, big fish. What's the name of the big fish man here in Hamilton? Her son is still alive and everything like that.
I don't know.
They have a big wholesale fish here in Hamilton.
Really?
Yes.
You know?
Agro is all.
No, not this. They were there before Agros, way before Agros.
But what I was actually going to say, Helen, was not so much that you remember the actors and actresses,
Yes.
but you actually remember that there were Jews in Hamilton who were not well-to-do.
Oh, most of them weren't.
Right.
There was only a handful. There was really only a handful. They were all workers. And you know, it's wonderful when I think of it. All our parents were ordinary workers, peddlers, stuff like that, you know. And now their children are very big, important people. Okay, we'll come down to a few. The Waxmans. Chester and Morris Waxman. It's such a tragedy what happened with those two brothers, to that family. Because I remember when we went to school together and how hard they worked. Their father was a rags peddler and they lived on Harriet Street. And they were so poor, you have no idea how poor they were. And there was a bunch of kids, you know. And these two boys, it was during the war. They were only about 16 years old or something like that. And they had an older brother that lived in Toronto. I didn't know him because he was always in Toronto. He came to see these boys. You know, they were, you know, they were family. And he said, he looked in the back and he saw all the junk that they had there. And he said, you know, boys, you could really make a go of this. They need this secondhand stuff. They need the junk. And I think his father, their father, had an inn. They liked him at the Stelco. Stelco wasn't as big as it is now, but they liked him as Stelco, and they let him come in and get rid of all the secondhand, like, you know, the secondhand stuff. And he got it, and this brother of theirs got them started in selling. It was junk, but then it became something else, metal. Scrap, a Gesintoftier. That's it, they became scrap. And those two boys worked so hard. They built up that business. They made that business. They were really hardworking. And, well, when we heard what was going on with Chester and Morris, it was terrible. They used to sit next to each other in our shul, and their father, you know, when things, then there was, it was terrible. It broke up the family. All right, then let's go to the Hotzes. Also, poor people. They had a junkyard, and Abe was the oldest, and he worked didn't get a chance to go to school. He, learned to read and write and something like that. But he was the one that built up Hodgson Sons and made them all professionals. It happened to all of them like that. The Katzes, they had the, what do you call it, stores?
Didn't they do auto parts? Or
The auto
something?
parts, that was Schmulella Katz. Didn't call him Mr. Katz, Schmulella. Schmiel Elia. But it was all became,
Okay.
it was Schmiel Elia, and they called him Schmulella. Well, he built our shul, the Addis.
Now, 1946, 1947.
Yes.
I mean, there is. Wasn't there some labor Zionist?
Oh yes, there was
here?
there was definitely a labor Zionist group. Mrs. Vonken, she looked after that. She saw there was the men. Oh yeah, they really raised money. There was a man here, Mr. Poulter. His one of his daughters lives here in the building, Waxman. She married Izzy Waxman. Well, he was a Verbrennte Zionist. And he, and I don't know who the other men were, but my mother told me about the Poulter. They went and they really got together and they sent arms. They raised money for ammunition and arms and everything that they bought here in Canada, and they boxed it here in Hamilton, and they sent it overseas to Palestine at that time as farm implements. And my mother said it was a good thing that they were not bothered or anything like that. She said, because they could have gone to jail, these people.
I imagine so.
Oh yes, but they sent everything they could as armaments over there. So Hamilton wasn't just a dead city or anything like that. We were a very viable city, really we were. And the kids were always involved in it. And there was,
Really?
yes, the kids went, and it wasn't till, as I say, until the people got richer that we broke up into different little.
Really? So back before then, it was a very closely.
It was a very closely knit place. What happened, I think the big split kind of happened was then the Hunter Street Shul decided they did not like, well, they were bought out. The city bought it out to do something for the railway station or something like that. They were changing it. And they decided to build a shul. And they built on Aberdeen Avenue. Well, up until that time, when all of us were in a cluster, we're all in it came Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. What did the kids do? Kids didn't stay in the shul and daven or anything like that. We used to go walk from one shul to another. We would go from Cannon Street, we would walk over to Hess Street. Then from Hess Street, we would walk over to Hunter Street. And not too many went to Ferguson. Sometimes we did. But this is the way we went. A lot of boys and girls met each other that way and got married. Oh, a lot of people from Hamilton used to meet that way. From shul, used to go from the shul and they got married, became boyfriends, everybody would go out together, it was fine. But then when they moved to Aberdeen Avenue, I don't think they really meant it as a split or anything like that. But it didn't work out. They became the elite, and the people from Cannon Street, they were hoi polloi. And the people from Hess Street, they started to go down in the membership. I mean, like the membership, the younger people that got married didn't want to go there. They would go either, they went, most of them, to Hunter, not to the Hunter Street, to the Beth Jacob. Anyways, back here on Cannon Street with our beautiful, gorgeous shul, it got to be too small for the membership. And it was right opposite, see, on a Shabbos, or when it was Yontif, all this traffic was going up and down the street.
Right.
They were going, and the Hoffmans, their junk yard was right opposite too. Anyways, they decided, Shmilella Katz and Meyer Hoffman decided it's no good anymore, and they went and bought the land where we are at the Addis. And those two men really and truly they gave their life for that shul. And that's what happened. That's what I think what happened, that Hamilton split into this. Now, Rabbi Green, as I say, I'm angry at him why he tore down our beautiful, gorgeous shul. I remember when they built that shul, the one on Cannon Street, because we lived on Cannon Street. I was 7 years old at the time when they started to build it. And they used to, and when they built it, they had different Sundays to raise money for the shul. Who were they going to get the money from? The peddlers. That's all they were. The rich ones were at the Hunter Street shul. Although they did, I'm sure that everybody, they all gave, that the Goldblatts gave, whether, maybe not a lot of money, but they did give because they were giving to their own shul, Anyways, I remember when they dug the hole there, and they made, as they were raising up, the basement and everything, they had to make money, raising money and everything, and they made concerts and stuff. And I remember they used to sell a brick, $1 a brick. So they bought it, bricks by the doll, paid for $1 a brick. My father was only a worker in Firth Brothers. We were living up in the attic, not the attic, at that time we'd come to the second floor. And that's a painting of my father there.
Oh,
yeah. Anyways, he
owned more than one brick.
He bought a cornerstone for $85. We had our name on it and everything. Right now, I think it's up at the cemetery, the Jewish cemetery, on York Road, off York Road or something.
Yes.
There. Yeah, that's where it is. But my father took out $85. Sigeverybody was stunned. But he bought a cornerstone. He says, "Ich kann nicht kaufen a Ziegel. I'm not going to buy a Ziegel." He bought a cornerstone.
Isn't that great?
It was wonderful. It was wonderful. I don't have to tell you how proud I was. And you know who else gave a lot to our shul? Was the Wrights. Not Percy Wright, his father, Shulam Wright. They were in the the wholesale fruit business. They were on York Street. And his son, Percy, there's a bunch of the Wrights here too. There's still some Wrights living, yeah. That from their father had this business, and he also gave quite a bit of money to our shul. In fact, they bought the parochet.
Oh, really?
Yes, they paid for the parochas in the shul. And they are now in the chapel of our shul.
Mm-hmm.
There, if you'll see, it says there, the Wrights. They have it there.
Yeah, I don't know if I know the Wrights.
Well,
David Wright's family?
David Wright's grandfather, yeah.
Is he the one who at one point was thinking of moving to Israel?
His daughter lives in Israel, Sherry.
Yes.
Modi'in. She knows Total Pollock, they're neighbors in Modi'in.
He was a
You mean David Wright's daughter?
Lives in Israel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who he is.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
met him. When
yeah.
you went to shul
Yes.
on Shabbos, and
Yes.
you can think back to Simchas Torah.
Yes. Oh, it was something. It was gorgeous. Simchas Torah. People used to come from the other shul to see how we celebrated Simchas Torah in our shul.
the way we do it in the Addis today?
Yes, yes, and
But also-
even better.
Of course, even better, and I'll tell you why. Because, first of all, you walked around with a flag.
That's right, the kids, and an apple on the top.
That's right.
And an apple on top, and Mr. Lindenberg that just died,
Yeah.
he donated all the apples.
That's right. And were there not any who had a candle on top of the
Yes,
apple?
yes, yes, yes. And they stopped that. The kids liked it. We all loved it. But the parents said, you know, it's dangerous. Maybe they'll be neglectful. They won't look at. Oh yeah, there was a candle on.
Today, we see neither the apple
Yes.
nor the candle.
No, no.
Nor the flag. We don't even see the flags.
Sometimes.
Well, maybe, yeah, maybe not even the flag.
No.
No.
Oh no, it was fun. We kids used to look forward to it. Oh yeah, this is what I'm saying. A lot of the things, the love for Israel is now here. But I mean, at that time, we didn't have this. You know, it was a dream to have a state of Israel. And I'll tell you, when I was a kid, and I was telling this to somebody else about my uncle, Solke, he had the first of everything. They had the first refrigerator that we'd ever seen. I mean, a real refrigerator. He brought back from New York the first Mixmaster we had ever seen. And he had the first radio. A real radio. I'm not talking about the ones that but a real radio. It was an RCA. And when they had the vote for Hindenburg or Nazis, the Nazi Party was, I think it was 1933 or something like that, they tried to get into Parliament and to start to rule Germany legitimately. They had this big, they carried the vote. And my uncle's living room was jammed with people waiting to hear what the vote was. And when Hindenburg won, hooray, hooray, and drill the Nazis, and everything like that. Well then, Hitler went and burned the Reichstag down. And that's when problems started.
When did people get together to listen to the radio?
At that time.
But in 1948?
Oh yes, at my father's store and mother's store on York Street. What are you talking about? What was going on at that time? Couldn't get into the store. People were sitting, talking, waiting, listening to the radio. And when it became that, yes, they got the vote, well, they were dancing in the store.
Really?
Really, it was an answer to people's prayers. Really was an answer to Mr. Poulter, all this gang that had really and truly put their lives on it, you know, staked their lives on it. They were wonderful people, all of them. They had problems and everything, but as I say, it was different now. Nothing like it now. Maybe we all have more money, live in nicer homes, but no. There's none of that feeling that there was at that time. Now, I do give Rabbi Green a lot of credit for starting the Hamilton Hebrew Academy. Now, he had such aggravation, such problems from Rabbi Silverman and from the other rabbis. He wanted the Hamilton Hebrew Academy. He says, I want them to be a day school. Well, they couldn't envision it. They could not envision it at all. And he had a very hard time doing it. And Meyer Hoffman, that built the shul, Meyer Hoffman, Welkovich was the guy that built it, you know, actually built it.
In Israel now.
No, here, yeah, maybe he's in Israel now. He moved to Israel. The Velkovich and those three built that shul and I mean it, Mr. Katz, Schmilella, gave up all interest in the store. Like, he left it to the boys, let them do whatever they want, and he devoted the last years of his life to building that shul. And they did a beautiful job, and there came such a loyalty from the members and the members' kids to go there. And then from the academy, as I say, he built up this bunch of kids that grew up that liked it, and Rabbi Green, they loved Rabbi Green, and they came to our shul. And you come to our shul? We're full. Come Shabbos, Kanei Nahora, there's a full shul. They can't get a minyan at the Hunter
Street shul.
At the Hunter Street shul.
Sad. It's a very sad story, I think, that...
See, what happened is the people don't have the heart the way they used to have. Like people that go to our shul, they give their time and their money and energy for it, and they bring their kids and everything. But what happened was the people, the machers from the Beth Jacob died. They were very devoted people to their shul. They loved that shul, and they gave money and time and energy, but their kids didn't. What's happened to the Goldblatts? There's nobody there. They don't have boys. That's another thing. They didn't have sons. They all have daughters. One of them had sons, just one son, and the only one that's left is the oldest one. What's his name? What's the name of the gold? Marvin. Marvin is still a wonderful person and everything, but his wife died. He hasn't got the energy. He hasn't got, his children aren't interested, so they're gone. All the other people that were the Levies, where are the Levies?
Right.
They're not there. Some of them, now mind you, some of them are still very active at the temple.
Right.
They're still very active at the temple. But somebody told me they don't like to go to the temple because they say it's all converts, which I think is not wrong. I think that's pretty good that they got converts where so many people are intermarrying and leaving. Sure. I think it's wonderful that they're bringing in the converts. But it's not, and then another terrible thing that's happening is the ones that sent their kids to the academy, now they want them to have a high school, and there isn't a high school in Hamilton, so they're moving to Toronto. That's what happened with my nephew, David Mueller. That's what's happened in, a lot of people are leaving Hamilton to move to Toronto because the kids have a high school there.